this is the culmination of everything that I've been doing for probably the last 6 months. I've been ripping up my studio. I've been getting rid of my old monitors. I've been selling those. I've been down on one monitor, using one monitor for a long time, waiting for this new ultra wide to come in. And then, so I redid my whole studio. And, you know, the rack that I built a couple of weeks ago was actually, the rack project started, I don't know, probably started 4 months ago. And I've been slowly building it up with networking, put my Mac in there, and soon my Sliger Windows Linux build is going in there. And that is my studio rack. And I figured, you know what, I'm going to finish up my studio now. I'll do the rack later. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now. It is pretty awesome. It's one of the few times my wife comes in here and she's like, it looks really awesome in here. That's what she said right before she went to some volunteer things. She said, it looks really nice in here. I'm like, oh, thanks. I think so too. It's totally a nerd cave, but at the same time, at least I was getting some kudos for her, because other times she's like, you know, when are you gonna, you know, clean this part up, or what are you doing with this over here? You know, those things you get. They're like questions that you get from your significant other, and you know, they're kind of open-ended questions, but it's more just like, what's going on in here? Anyway, she fully supports me, but it was nice to hear her this morning before she left saying, yeah, it looks really nice in here. And I was like, oh, it's kind of messy, you know, I have this over here and that box over there. And she's like, no, this is good. So anyways, I think she's most excited about not seeing cords, and I think I am too. And that took me. That was part of the reason why my studio revamp took so long. It was wire management and cable management. I started on it last week, and I got into so I did it a little bit on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then I kind of had to stop because I didn't have the right cables. Had to take some back, get some more cables, redo cables, and then so I did it again on part of Monday. And then part of Wednesday. So I've been doing it like nonstop for 2 weeks. And, you know, people would, a few of my people I would talk to would ask, you know, is it done yet? And I'm like, no. And, you know, my neighbor came over, and then a couple of friends came over because, you know, I was talking to him and showing him it. And it pretty much looked the same for 3 days. They were probably thinking there is zero progress going on in here. But no, it was everything behind this desk. So anyways, I highly recommend if you feel like I did, a ton of anxiety about, you know, I don't know. I feel like I had a lot of anxiety about my cables and my cords, and now that's gone. It's gone. Until I redo this, then I'm going to be, oh man, I don't even want to think about it. Anyways, all that aside, I'm so happy to have this working the way I want it to work. I still have some work to do on like cameras. Like, you know, if I start shaking, that camera's going to shake. I don't have, you know, a track up here like I'd like to have. My camera's kind of back in focus, wasn't in focus last week. Anyways, so things are good. Things are good for me. Outside of this, like, weird, I feel like I'm getting carpal tunnel. I don't know. It's probably because I've been editing for like 20 hours straight until I woke up this morning. And so, anyways, enough about my ailments. I could talk about my ailments for a while, and I'm sure you guys could too. So, anyways, let's get into chat. Let's see what you're working on. 32 South, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. So let's get in chat. Let's see what you're up to. If you got something you want to share, throw it in chat. We'll talk about it. We're going to go roughly about an hour. I'm not trying to take up your guys' whole entire day. So, you know, I'm just going to kind of run this like a meeting. You know, well, if it's like most meetings, they start late and end late. If your meetings are like mine, I try not to make them like most meetings. But today was an exception because I wanted to test the stream on my test channel before I did it on my live channel, just because like last week was a disaster. And everything's working right now, and I'm just like scared to breathe on anything. I don't know why music stopped. Maybe because I hit the wrong button. Okay, I just said I wasn't going to touch anything. And now I can't hear music, but I'm still not going to touch anything. I'm going to touch something. Hold on, I think you guys can hear music, but I can't. There we go. There we go. Now we can both hear music. All right. Anyways, let's get into chat. Let's talk about the stuff that we're here to talk about because I want to, because I need to get back into homelab stuff. Like everything you've been seeing from me, I feel like the last 3-4 videos has all been preparing for this. And so this now I have in place, and now I can get back to homelab stuff. I have some cool stuff coming. I have some really cool stuff coming. And I can't wait. I can't wait. I don't want to give it away either. But anyways, hey, yeah, this was when I was testing. Hey, EDNZ Live, you're not late. NTB server is too early. Oh, I hope that's not the case, man. Wouldn't that be a crazy disaster? Like we've seen, we've seen attacks on DNS, and we see how that can go wrong, or DNS poisoning. Could you imagine if someone attacked NTP, or like at least in the US, like our time.nist.gov? If that was off, that would be big trouble. I know a lot of people use a lot of different things. Windows has their own, Ubuntu has their own, Mac has their own. But a lot of people depend on that. So yeah, if hardware clocks or something were attacked and I don't know, and and either set wrong, even wrong by like an hour or two. I'm not talking about anything obvious, but man, that could really mess some stuff up. You can hear me. All right. Act check. 5 out of 5. Awesome. Yeah, I had to do some extra checking. I don't have a ton of confidence in this stream setup. Not like I did with Windows and everything else. My previous build, I had complete confidence in that. I knew what to press and what was going on. This one's a little bit different. I'm getting my stream legs. I'm getting my stream legs. So. Let me see. Shin Shafi, Skin Shafi. Skin Shafi. Hi everyone. Hope you had a wonderful day. I am. I'm having a really good day. The video released is doing pretty good, and when videos do pretty good, it makes like my next week and a half pretty good, which is kind of sad that I base a lot on my last video, but it's hard not to. It's hard not to. You think of a project, and when you do a project and you release a project and it goes really well, hey, you're great for a couple of days. If it goes bad, you're probably bad for a couple of days. Think about doing that every other week, and that roller coaster. So anyways, I'm doing great, and my day is going wonderful so far. I'm really looking forward to the rest of the day and kind of chilling out and preparing for the next. So Flodash, yo, how's it going? Sick setup. Love the new test bench area. Thank you. Yeah, it's coming together. It's coming together. I'm not going to complain, but it's smaller than I wish. I wish I could just get a gigantic tabletop and put it kind of in the center of the room behind me, so I can get on any side of it and work on stuff. But hey, it's good for what I have for now. And I have this one room in a smaller house, and I'm totally happy with it. I'm just making the best of it. So, yeah. Hi, Zup. Hi says hi. Mafney. Hello, Tim and everyone. I'm excited to be. Oh, yeah, that was the sub. All right, the sub message is appearing here. I like that. Hey, Techno Tim from Mesa, Arizona. Hello from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Hi, Tim. homelab New. How's it going? I haven't seen you in a while, man. Hopefully you're okay. I can't remember if you're US or UK last. Hopefully things are going well with the job and everything. Good to see you in here. It's been a while. Sorry I keep like smacking my lips. My mouth is so dry. My mouth is so dry because anyways, someone was like I thought someone was burning tires yesterday. I was like, who burns tires, and how would I even know what that smells like anyways? Smell like someone's burning tires. Turns out someone started the Kmart down the street on fire. So smells like burnt tires. Anyways, Yakto. Yeah, I keep doing that. I need to work on my lip smacking with this microphone setup because it's really loud, and I do apologize. Now that I figured out my AIO woes with the Sliger case, finally putting together my new computer rig, Epic 7642 with 256 gigs of RAM. That is awesome. That is awesome. I'm super excited to see it. I know you posted some of it in Discord. You have a Sliger build coming. I think you have a 3U Sliger build for your servers. I have a 4U build coming. It's actually, you can kind of see it. That's my Sliger case right there. You can see the white right back there. I'm super excited to build mine. I haven't fully decided on what platform I'm gonna do, what I'm gonna build. Really, it's gonna be, you know, my dev station, another dev station for most of my stuff that I work on. It's not gonna be server, but it will be rack mounted in my studio rack here. So I'm super excited about it. Anyways, Epic, man, that is awesome. That is awesome. I can't wait to see. I think you're building like 3 of them too, or something like that. 3, which sounds awesome. Populous Mocha, hey, how's it going? Been a few weeks, finally catching the stream. Anyone else feeling self-conscious about their setup after seeing the video today? I hope not. Hopefully it was inspiring. I never want to like put people down or shame people for what they have. You know, I grew up not having much, and I still feel super self-conscious about showing the things that I have now, just because, I don't know. Yeah, just because, like I said, like, I don't know. I grew up not having much, and so I get it. I get it when people can't do stuff or have things, and it's kind of weird being in YouTube because you kind of have to show things, and so I get a little self-conscious about it too. But don't feel bad. Hopefully it's inspiring. Hopefully, you know, there's a lot of stuff you can do for cheap or no money, especially cable management organization goes a long way into making your setup feel better, or you feeling better about your setup. But I hope you didn't feel bad, but good to see you. Good to see you. Cyberdog, hello, how's it going? Let's see, Flowdash. Let me advance this chat. I've been working on a few things. HA Proxmox with HA. Oh yeah. This was the sub message. See, I wish they would mark that. Maybe. I think I can filter. But anyways, that is awesome. I'll get on my tiptoes because I didn't fix this part yet with chat being up to my neck. That's some tall chat too. Don't worry, you can write as much as you want. This is all me and CSS that I got to battle later on. But hey, I'm super excited for you. Spend the extra time to build your foundation right. You want your foundation good. You want it solid before you go on and do anything else. And so I know you got this, especially HA Proxmox. That is awesome. And it, yeah, HA PF Sense, both of them HA. That is awesome. Flowdash, CB Pilot, SSL on everything, but now all of the containers I had in Portainer say limited control. I think I've seen this in the past before. I think if you spin up a stack using Docker Compose, but use Portainer still to kind of manage it, I think Portainer will say that. That just means like, hey, you're not using their GUI tool. You didn't use their GUI tool to create it. I think that's what that means. It's been a while. So but what I do think is you're okay. I think you're okay. I don't even remember, because it used to say that all the time for me. It still does, because I usually create my stacks with Docker Compose, and then, you know, Portainer will see it because it listens on to the Docker API, and it's like, oh, hey, new container, new stack. And it's fine. There might be some limitations, but I don't remember what they are. Not important enough for me to remember. How about that? I think you'll be good. Flowdash, almost. Also, most things are back on the back burner since I started a new job at an AWS DC. Oh, that is awesome. So you work at a AWS data center. That is pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I bet that's awesome. I'd love to see the inside. I'd love to get a tour sometime. Do they ever do like ride-alongs or something, or tours? Because I would love to see it. Can you do a ride-along Flowdash at AWS? I'd love to come see it. Hey everyone. Hey Sigor, how's it going? Flowdash, you've gone from homelab. You've gone from a homelab to just a lab. Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, it's still in my home. Does that count? Pretty soon, parts of it might not be in my home too, which is I'm super excited about too. I'll still have my home lab for sure, but gonna try some new stuff too. But yeah, it's I know it seems wild, but I don't know at what part it becomes a lab, but I think it's still home, still in my house, still in my basement. Yeah, it's bad. I have multi-region too. Yeah. A decent, wow, data center. Yeah, sounds good. Let's see. Hello, hello. Yep. This is probably me testing. Riderhood Jeff, how's it going? Oh, Tim is about to show off his nice and tidy setup. Must feel great going into winter with no cables shown. Yeah, it is. That is good. That is good. It is pretty good. I will agree. It's nice not showing my cables. I think even nicer than not like having my cables everywhere is being able to get behind my desk. That was a super awkward thing to film too. I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna do this live. I didn't even plan to get behind there. I'm like crouched over in the corner like some little hobbit in the corner. But it's being able to just get behind your desk is awesome. It is awesome because now if I have problems, I don't have to like stick my head under, look up. And I don't think anyone in the history of the world has ever plugged in an HDMI cable or a USB cable without getting behind their monitor or on the first try. HDMI, I guarantee. No one in the history of the world has plugged in an HDMI cable on the first try because that is like a display port to any of them. Maybe we need to go back to like RCA or something. S-Video was the same way. But yeah, it's nice. Getting behind your desk just goes a long way. Because now it's like, you know, if I have to change something, I don't have to just do the best I can from here. I just walk behind it, sit down, raise my desk up. Now it's above me like a car in the air, and I can, you know, get underneath it. Not like a car in the air, but you know, it's cool having your computer on a lift too, or your workstation on a lift, because then you could just get under it and work underneath it. So it's pretty awesome. Let's see. Oh, what's going on this? I can show emojis now. Hey. Oh, I don't know what that one is though, unless I hover. Oh, they don't give me alt text. Alt text? Oh yeah. Spinning. Okay. Virtual Alex. What's up, Tim? Love the new monitor setup. Thank you. Been in the lab today doing some upgrades to infrastructure and self-hosted services. That is awesome, Virtual Alex. Curious what they are. I've been doing some, I've still been doing upgrades to my stuff. You know, I have Renovate checking for updates all the time on my containers. I even looked right before the stream because I wanted to see why my GitLab runner wasn't working because my documentation didn't go out with my latest post, which reminds me, I don't usually do stuff during the stream, but yeah, it doesn't matter, which it's still having problems. But anyways, my GitLab runner was down, and so yeah, anyways, yeah, what services and what infrastructure upgrades? I've been thinking about doing a couple more too. I still have my 2 one-use servers. I've been thinking about getting a third. I should have done this in the beginning, is get 3 one-use servers rather than have 2. I don't know why I ever did 2. It was to save money. I know that for sure. But I think now I'm going to pay more for the same server so I can have 3 than I would if I would have bought them back then, just because they're so rare. These ones that I want are rare. And I thought about like, just, you know, get something similar. But for me, like having one thing different is just, I don't know, the overhead of having one thing different, especially when I'm going to do 3 servers, 3 1Us, HA, I don't want to have one thing different. So that, you know, that extra brain power that I have to put in to think about, you know, BIOS, the configuration, SATA DOMs, disks, it's not worth it. The cache is not worth it in the long run, because doing mental gymnastics all the time when you have one thing different kind of stinks. That's how I am. I only have so many brain cycles I could use per day, and so, you know, I don't want to waste them on that. Maybe I should start wearing the same thing like Steve Jobs. That's why he wore the same thing every day. He didn't want to waste any brain cycles on those kinds of decisions. Loud and clear. Thank you. On Gumshoe Noir, hey, how's it going? I swapped out Nginx Proxy Manager for traffic under System D and YAML config with Cloudflare Proxy configured with Terraform. That is awesome. I use LXC Container and Proxmox. I also installed Notify on its own LXC with System D. That is awesome, Gumshoe Noir. I saw you asking about that in Discord, and you were asking about, I think people thought you were thinking, gonna use Docker, but no, you did it in an LXC container. That is awesome. That is awesome. I think you were asking about why is it still in you using the default traffic proxy cert, and then like 2 seconds later you're like, it's working. So that is pretty cool. I would love to do more LXC. I've only done a handful. I did it for my travel router. I'll go up here. I did it for my travel router and a couple other things. But that is awesome. That is awesome. I'm so ready to start doing server stuff again. I feel like I've been doing workstation and desktop stuff, but I'm ready. HomeLab new, one lab in Ontario, Canada. All right, first HomeLab. Then a new HomeLab in Alberta. All right, I like them both. I like both provinces. Huge fan of Ontario. I lived in Toronto for a while, and a huge fan of Alberta, because in Alberta is Calgary, and near Calgary is Banff, and near Banff is Lake Louise, and Lake Louise is my favorite place in the world. Anyways, right now I use a VPC to route all public websites to either of the regions. Nothing fancy. Hey, I would say that's fancy. I would say that's fancy. Doing region-based or location-based routing. Hey, that is awesome. And you have 2 labs that are both accessible in the cloud. I would say you're international, but they're all in Canada. Put one in the US and you can just be like, yeah, I'm international. I'm big time. That is awesome. That is awesome, Flodash. But you were talking to HomeLab New, but that is sweet. Hey, Colin. Hey, happy to catch the stream. I'm working on migrating a WordPress installation to Docker, trying to get the DB property restored in the container. Trying to get the DB properly restored in the container. Good luck. Good luck. That's tough. Yeah, so I've been there many times. I run my WordPress instance in a Docker, in a container. It's in Kubernetes. I've done it in Docker for many years before that. It is tough. It is tough. And that's why I recommend, like, anytime. So this is maybe a good teachable moment, probably too late. But anytime anything calls for a database, like WordPress, right? WordPress is going to say, hey, use MySQL, or use our Docker stack that has MySQL in it. Whenever I see that, I automatically think to myself, I'm not going to use a Docker stack that has, that has WordPress plus MySQL. I'm just going to spin up my own MySQL instance in Docker and then, use the variables to point it at that instance. And the reason why that's nice is one, you separate your concerns. You say, hey, this is WordPress, where this is MySQL, this is where my database is. And 2, it helps you scale in the future. If you spin up something else that uses MySQL, I don't know, you name it, Pterodactyl, whatever, use something else that requires a database, you don't have to spin up that database in that same stack again. You can just use that database that you spun up beforehand to satisfy your WordPress installation. So, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I know. I mean, what I would do, you probably got this, but what I would do is spin up a default WordPress installation. No, I wouldn't. I would spin up WordPress stack. I would probably separate them now if you're trying to figure this out. Just map your volume, your old volume, to your old container with only WordPress. Hopefully you have your SQL exports. If not, you have a local volume that you can go and grab those files, spin up MySQL, map that volume to those files, and it should be good. If not, I would also recommend running backups. That's something I do anytime I run a database anywhere. I don't always rely on restoring the volume. I treat that like disaster recovery more than a backup. And so my last ditch effort is restoring a volume. My first ditch effort, if time allows, is to restore a backup of the SQL data only. And so I run containers that dump out my SQL databases, my Postgres databases, my Mongo databases. It runs daily and it dumps them to Minio. I use Minio internally, but it can be anywhere. It doesn't matter, the backing storage. So then that way you can just spin up a default container of a database, run an import command or a MySQL, I forget, it's not dump, the opposite of dump. This is getting weird. You run that command, just an import, and boom, your database is back with all your data. So yeah, look into that too. I don't mean to like pile on and like give you a lot more work to do. But look into that. Run a export job daily and put it somewhere safe. Because then you could just spin up any MySQL service. One day you want it in the cloud, sure, put it in the cloud, and then you just import all your data that you dumped out the night before. Or, if you need something more up to date, you would just run a manual job. But if the night before is fine, go for that. I miss your what? I miss your unadulterated head. Lose the hat. Gumshoe, nah, my hair's wild. My hair's wild. I don't know. I don't know. I think I saw your tweet too. I get it. I'm not inside and all this, but it's part of my attire. I don't know. My head's kind of cold today, and my hair's wild too. PM, I gotta fix this. Been a hardware week for me. Wife's laptop died, so I had a few days trying to track down a BitLocker key and move the drive to my laptop. This upcoming week is going to be more hardware, with Protectly Vault coming in soon for a new Proxmox node for OpenSense VM. Awesome. So that is awesome, Populous Mocha. I've been there. I actually just ran into that, and I just tweeted that out about my BitLocker key. Luckily, I backed it up. I haven't needed that BitLocker key since I installed Windows and turned on BitLocker. And that was probably 3 or 4 years ago. I'm still running on the same installation. Actually, no. This has probably been a year, because I did upgrade to Windows 11, and then I said, I'll just do a clean install. Hey, real quick. Hey, dude, Jay Walker, thank you so much for the Prime sub. That looks like a Prime sub. Yeah, it does. Jay Walker, thank you so much for the Prime sub. I appreciate it. Here. Thank you so much for the Prime sub. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Prime sub. All right, let's go. But going back to this, yeah, I ran into some BitLocker. I didn't run into BitLocker issues. I ran into Windows issues. And then fortunately, I had my BitLocker key backed up. And I was just kind of like, I hope this is the right one. But once I saw the identity tied to it and the ID was the matching ID, I was like, okay, this is cool. But then, good luck trying to type in 64 digits or 64 characters. It's like, oh, I can't remember if it's 32 or 64, but it's tough. It is tough. I wish someone would solve that problem. Automatically typing stuff. Like, I wish I could scan a barcode, or, honestly, I wish they would do what Apple does, is just tie your encryption key to your Windows account, or for what Apple, it's their iCloud account. So you can unlock it that way. Microsoft needs to work on that. But then again, I think they're just thinking like, well, you can with AD in Active Directory, but for home, I don't know of any solutions there. They should tie it to your Windows account, so that I can unlock or decrypt that drive with a Windows account in recovery mode. So, anyways. Good luck. You've been doing hardware stuff. I've been doing hardware stuff too. I'm excited to get back to kind of software-y stuff, because it's been a while. homelab new, nice. I got some compute in the US and the UK. All right, yeah. So you were talking earlier. That is awesome. So you are international. For sure. Mafney, I got a job as a Linux consultant. Hey, Mafney, that is awesome. Congratulations. I figured it had to do with a new job. I figured it did, only because you recently graduated to get your master's. So congratulations. That is awesome. I hope you celebrate and do something fun. Something fun for you, not something that other people think is fun, because that might not be your type of fun. But dude, celebrate. That is huge. That is huge. Time to pay back those student loans. I'm kidding. Maybe not. But dude, that is awesome. Congratulations. Yeah, man. Yeah, you get it. Holden Took. Holden Two Dicks. Wow. As a software engineer, can you say how accurate all these a day in the life of a software engineer videos are on YouTube? It depends on which ones you're watching. I mean, I can tell you what I do as a software engineer. So if you're watching the ones where it's like, I won't even go to that, because who knows which ones you're watching. I mean, your days can vary as a software engineer. Honestly, a majority of your time, unless you're totally heads down, working on something, a majority of your time isn't writing code. A lot of the time it's herding cats, getting clarification on why a story is written a certain way, working with design to make sure that the UX is right if you're doing front end, trying to solve logical, I think, problems before you actually start writing code. Because most of the time, like when you think you're going to start on something, most things aren't ready. They need clarification. You need to talk to someone. You need to get permission. Sometimes you don't even have permission to do the thing that they're asking you to do. A lot of it is figuring that out. And then if you lump in, hey, company meetings, project meetings, Scrum, meetings fill up a good portion of your day. And then, you have lunch. You might have friends that you work with, so you need to talk about stuff. You might have to review PRs. So, that's not writing code. So if you start layering in all the things that you need to do, a lot of it, is not writing code, which seems, counterintuitive, being a software engineer. But I think that's the difference between, engineering and coding. The term engineer, in this case means, hey, you're going to solve some business problems, and a lot of that isn't writing code. So I don't know which ones you're watching. I do know that, I could go maybe 2 days where I haven't written any code. It's fixing builds, reviewing PRs, mentoring, junior engineers or whatever, meetings, planning, grooming, you name it. And then there are times where it's like, hey, I have this big feature I need to work on. I'm heads down coding 3 days straight with my headphones on and loving it. So it just depends. It depends on where you work, how big the company is, how stringent they are on agile or not agile, and then how well they protect their engineers from a lot of other things, that they could get pulled into because they know, right? And so that happens a lot at places that I work too. Sometimes you have if you have a product org, sometimes product people or anyone who has a problem know right away that the engineers probably know how to figure it out because they wrote the code. And so, it depends on how the organization is. But a lot of time people will go straight to the source and ask, engineers how things work, which is fine. But at the same time, sometimes people, I hate to say follow process because you might not have a process, but there are times where, your product org needs to help out and, kind of be a front line of defense for some of that stuff. Anyways, I'm getting like way too deep on stuff, past experiences. But it just depends. Depends on your org is. And then, at the end of the day, the part that's tough is like after all of that talking, that planning, that debugging, that fixing, that, finding bugs, reporting bugs, documenting bugs, fixing builds. After all that, you still need to write some code. So a lot of times at a lot of places I work, like my work day starts about 3:30 because that's when the questions stop. That's when the problems kind of stop happening. And then from 3:30 to 7 or whatever, I'm just like get in the zone as fast as I can, write all the code I want, commit and push while no one's there and leave. So anyways, it just depends. I'm not watching the same videos you are. That's kind of been my experience. But it's different. It's different at different places. So, but yeah, good question though. Good question. It can go a lot of different ways. I think a lot of the day in the life ones, depending on which ones you're watching, a lot of them are for clicks, which is fine. But at the same day, it can be boring. I'm not going to lie. It can be boring. I mean, I don't want to say it's like any other job, but, you have your ups and downs. And some days are exciting, and for me, you get to write a ton of code and figure a ton of stuff out. And there are other days that are, not so exciting. And it's a lot of planning and talking and fixing bugs, or, sometimes you get stuck on, a lot of times I know I'll stop after this because I've been through this a lot. But a lot of times when fixing, and there's a support rotation most likely. But if say I was on support and there's a bug, like a lot of times I spend more time trying to figure out where something is happening and why than the line of code I need to write. 9 times out of 10 it's fixing a Boolean or a while loop, or some condition wasn't met outside of an if block and you need to move that condition outside, or someone was looping on something and didn't think about something else. And so a lot of times you're going to spend more time looking for bugs than actually fixing them. So anyways, tons of stuff. I love this conversation. It feeds into something that I want to do real soon. So awesome. Yeah, good question. Don't let me scare you. It's awesome. It's rewarding. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love being able to focus on stuff. And so And I love having a lot of freedom. And I know that, programming sounds like, oh, it's all black and white and, it's just zeros and ones. No, you have a lot of freedom and a lot of creative control over the code that you write and how you solve problems. So, a good question if you're ever on a team of engineers, and you have someone who's super pedantic, or I think a good question to ask people a lot of the times is, is it wrong or is it different? Because people get hung up a lot of times in pull requests and will say, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? And you can get, kind of weighed down. Although, feedback is awesome. Sometimes you just have to say, hey, is this wrong or different? Most likely they're going to say it's different. And then you just got to say, okay, we'll get over it. But at the same time, you definitely want to, I don't know, have a code style that you follow with your team. Anyways, I could talk about this all day. I've had a lot of experience with a lot of different people, and it's awesome. Anyways, Populous Mocha, any thoughts on the Framework laptop, specifically looking ahead to the Framework 16? It's awesome. I think it's a great idea. I'd say every couple weeks it bounces into my head and I'm like, how are they going to solve this? How are they going to solve that? And so if you're not familiar with Framework laptops, it's basically turning a laptop into different components with open components, hopefully mostly open. Open if people want to adopt their spec, but you can plug and pick and choose different parts to upgrade your laptop over time. Supposedly less e-waste and more options to repair yourself or replace yourself. So I think the idea is great. I think the idea is fantastic. I hope it takes off because I think this is what we need. We need more people doing open stuff. It's funny, like this creeps into my head now too every now and then. Real quick, Palace Games. Hey, thanks for the sub. Tier 1, 23 months. Thank you so much. Good to see you. Good to see you. But I think that, more hardware vendors need to do more things that are open. And this is just not me just saying, well, things need to be open because open source is better, even though a lot of times it is. I feel like having things that are open, I don't know, just creates a better community around stuff. And I honestly think having things open creates less e-waste. And it sounds weird, but if you think about it, you go out and buy a NAS and that NAS is locked down to some vendor and, they have some firmware on there with a bootloader you can't do anything, with. What happens when they don't support that anymore? Or what happens when, they go out of business? It turns into junk. I mean, it's 100% junk. But if you think about, hey, if that was open and that firmware, there wasn't a bootloader in place and you could sideload whatever you wanted, hey, now you could turn this old, NAS into something else, into a true NAS, into an open media vault. And so, that idea comes into my head. It was just in my head yesterday. I was thinking about that with some commercial NASs. I was like, oh, that would really stink if, XYZ business went out of business, because then like everything that they've ever made on this planet will just be junk. It'll be e-waste the day they go out of business. And that stinks. That stinks. I would hope that a company, which I doubt they would do, that is in that business at that time would release some firmware to open it up to say, hey, you know what? We are going under. Here you go. Here's firmware you can sideload to open it up. Highly doubt they would do that because most likely they would get bought out by another company who wants that patent and they would not do that anyways. But anyways, sorry, I digress. I have lots of thoughts in my head if you can't tell. But I think it's awesome. I think it's a great mission. I don't know about the 16 specifically. I've seen Linus's videos on it. I'm excited. I'm cautiously optimistic. I say cautiously because even though they have opened up their hardware spec, they still need companies to actually create hardware for that spec so they could plug them in. So I'm optimistic 100% for the company, cautiously optimistic when it comes to third parties playing fair, because it takes a lot in R&D and not making excuses for other companies, but they have priorities. They have to do a ton of R&D. They got to spend a lot of money to build something for some other platform. And while holistically, or it sounds good, it sounds good for the consumer, you know, the business at the same time needs to do what's good for them. And so, you know, it's this push and pull. So anyways, yeah, I hope I'd love to see it. Love to see it. Nothing wrong with Nerd Cave. All right. I know. My Nerd Cave is a little bit different. But I'm a huge fan. I don't know. I've always wanted to have just a room. I mean, I kind of had growing up my own little nerd cave with tons of video games and tons of monitors. Not when I was young, but when I was about in college. I think college is where it kind of started. Where I was like, okay, you know, here's where I play video games, and here's where I'm on the computer, and here's where music's at. And I had all these little like places in my room, in my dorm room, and even in my room when I rented when I was in college. So it's fun. It's fun. Let's see. The Discord link in your description seems to expired or invalid. Is it still available? Absolutely, it's still available. I'll check that. That should all be pointing to the same one. Which should be one that's not expired. I've seen this before. What you can try doing is just make sure like you close Discord and open it, or try opening it on mobile. But either way, yeah, there's the invite. If not, yeah, I will take a look. It's the same invite that everyone uses, and I see people joined even just recently. I've seen this happen before, and it's like it's almost like the Discord thing is cached somewhere, and I don't know. Try if you're on mobile, try opening that link in private mode, like copy and paste it in incognito or whatever browser you're using, and try it that way. If not, just Google Techno Tim Discord, because we're a partner Discord, or go to discord.gg/technotim. And you can get in that way too. It should be wide open to the public. And I've seen this before. I've seen it on many Discords. People say things are expired. You go there, it's not expired. It works for you. It doesn't work for other people. I think Discord has some things crossed between behind the scenes sometimes. Let's see. Nobi Ryu. I need to redo my cabling from my desk as it goes into 6-port PoE switch and splits into 2 network 3D printers, my laptop, and a hot spare for port 4 testing things. Oh yeah, that is awesome for port 4 testing things. I like it. Yeah, it's it's fun. It's fun until until you have the wrong cables or not long enough cables, and then you have to wait. But yeah, I highly recommend it. I actually have I have 2 network switches in here. I actually 3. It's kind of wild, kind of overbought again. But I have 3 network switches in here. I keep like upcycling, and like I get a better switch in my homelab server rack downstairs, and then that one comes into this server rack, and then that one goes who knows where, maybe sell to someone. And then I accidentally bought another one. Not accidentally. I bought one before thinking it all the way through. I bought a small 10 gig switch when now I don't need it because I'm 10 gig to the basement. I'm having weird TrueNAS performance issues, and I'm using Scale. Some performance issues. Let's see. Never mind, that seems to be working. There we go. Can you give us a hint on what's to come? Sure. Well, well, there was a hint in my last video. No, I've been working on some Zima Blade stuff. I just want to give my quick thoughts and opinions about that because they were kind enough to send me some. Don't want to say a review because it sounds so formal. But I have some opinions about it, so that'll be coming out soon. I do, yeah, so I have that. Sliger build, which is coming soon. I still have to decide which platform I'm on. Am I going AMD? Am I going Intel? Am I going server? Am I going desktop? So a lot of decisions around there I haven't fully figured out. I do have a couple self-hosting things that have been in the backlog for a long time, but I made way too many commitments. I overcommitted myself and my topics months in advance, and so I'm through a lot of those. Not that they weren't fun or awesome, but you know, sometimes I want to do my own thing too, and so that's coming up. So anyways, yeah, lots more, a lot more to come. Long time no see in the UK now. All right. Whitefire 1, longtime fan, first time catching you live. Thanks for help setting up my home lab. Yeah, either thank you, you're welcome, or I'm sorry. No, but you said thanks. So yeah, no problem at all. I would just say like, hey, all the things that I do, are just things I'm interested in. Don't ever feel like you have to do it all. It's just like, it's like a buffet. You don't have to do it all. If you want, a little more fried chicken, you can. If you want a little more macaroni, you can. If you want to skip the greens, you can, So I'm just throwing out a buffet of stuff that I work on. My channel has always been things that I'm working on. And so don't always feel like you have to do that same thing too. Because I feel like a lot of people, sometimes feel pressured into going to Kubernetes, and that's not my goal. Do I think it would be awesome if everyone started running Kubernetes? Heck yeah, I do. But that is not my goal. I know that it's overkill for most people. It's more to support and take on than most people have time for. So don't ever feel like you have to do what I'm doing. I'm just sharing what I'm working on. Right now, hey man, how's it going, dude? I thought about you last night too. Because you were streaming with Robert, and I was like, dude, right out. We have missed each other like 3 times. Most of it has been my fault. COVID once, and then I think the other times it was just bad on scheduling. But yeah, Mr. Ultra Wide over here. I think you have an Ultra Wide, dude. Anyways, right out, dude. Let's get me on your stream, man. I'm trying to get on your stream every week, and you're like totally dissing me. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But dude, let's chat. I need to get into your stream. You need to get into mine for sure, and I want to catch up, see how you're doing. But yeah, hey, thanks for popping in. Disparator, hi from Romania. Hello. I love the smell of burnt Kmart in the morning. Yeah, that's kind of what it was, dude. Salvarius, thank you so much. 20. Yeah. Anyways, Tier 1, 29 months. Let's get this right. Dude, I was there. All right, dude, thank you. Dude, Salvarius, how's it going? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Use your words. I know. Well, it's the way this activity feed is not natural. It's not natural language at all. It says 29xt1 Salvarius, I was here. And so I'm like, 29? Oh, it's a tier 1. So like I have to mince words and then reassemble them. I actually have to use my brain rather than a teleprompter to read this. Put it on a teleprompter, I'll read it out. But as soon as, the words are minced like that, I have to actually use my brain. But dude, thank you so much, Salvarius. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Lacerated digits. I love the smell of burnt Kmart in the morning. Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was, honestly, because I told my wife, I was like, do you smell that? It smells like burning tires. My throat kind of hurts. Smells weird outside everywhere. And then she sent me this photo on Instagram that said police were putting out Kmart. That was on fire. So not good, not good. Let's see. Lucky Man. Nice setup video. Was just wondering what keyboard do you have? Oh, yeah. This is the Keychron. So Keychron Q3 or Q30. Keychron Q something 30, I think. 3. And it's the 10 keyless. And so, yeah, it's this one right here. Love it. Best one I've ever had. I had a DOS keyboard for a long time, and that was great until the 5 keys started dying. And then the 5 key died on 2 of them I had. I know I could probably fix it, but they're not as serviceable as some of these keyboards. So anyways, Keychron, I love it. This thing weighs like 10 pounds. When it was picking up, I was like, oh, that thing's pretty heavy. Love it. And I always do 10 keyless. I get it that it's nice to have a numpad and a keypad or a numpad right there. But for me, you can kind of see, for me, I actually like to have my mouse closer to my hand, because if I had 10 keyless, I might be out here, and then I'm in this weird arm thing. So I've had 10 keyless for a long time, so I can keep my mouse almost right here. And then like in my video, like my DPI is so high, like I can go all the way over to the screen, on my ultra wide just by doing this. Like I don't even need to move my hand up at all. And if I really need to do it, I can. So anyways, you guys know how to use a mouse. But yeah, super high DPI, Keychron keyboard, 10 keyless. And so I don't have a numpad. But I still have the arrow pad and stuff like that. And I still have my home and page up, mainly because I use page up and home quite a bit, and my arrow keys too. So Yeah. It's I love it. I love it. You know, after getting this set up, I was like, man, I should have got a cozier color. And I know I can replace the keys on here, but then my unit is black too. And not that I don't like black, but yeah, I feel like I'm like clashing a lot. I wish it was a more neutral color now that I've redone my desk. But it's awesome. I love it. Whoa, that one is way up there. I know what it says. I can read it here. IDNNZ Live. I've been working a lot on Python code recently, building an orchestrator for game servers. I think Pterodactyl. But better scalability with HA proxy, Docker, but also Libvirt, Podman, OpenStack, Nova, etc. I think it's going to be very good once it's finished. That is awesome. That is awesome. So similar to I'll put this down. So similar to Pterodactyl, so you can, you have agents that are running on machines and you can spin up game servers, but better for scalability. I like that because, I think on Pterodactyl, there's no scalability. You want to run another game, I think you have to create a new instance of that game and run it. That is pretty cool. So with HA proxy integration and backend supported like Docker, that is pretty cool. Podman, OpenStack, Nova. Yeah, this is awesome. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. That sounds pretty fun. G'day. G'day says g'day. G'day, Tim. Neat video on your desk setup. Thanks for sharing. Thank you. Can't get this 57-inch in Australia just yet. Oh, are you sure? Maybe. I remember watching a review of someone in Australia. So this is one of the few times the US got this monitor last. So I thought Australia had it already. Maybe not. I mean, look on Samsung.au. I think that's a thing. But look on the Samsung site for Australia, and you might be able to order direct. I'm not saying order direct, but to see if it's available. Because one of the reviews I saw, I could have swore it was an Australian person when I was looking through the reviews. But yeah, US did get this monitor last. I think Europe and Asia got it first. And then I thought Australia, maybe not, but we were last. It's okay. It's okay. We need people to beta test first. Not kidding. Right now, me and CSS love to fight. I always lose. I do too. There are few wins for me in CSS. Usually those wins are fixing, or it's either when I need to fix something very specific, or if I start from scratch. Anywhere in between is kind of like, okay, why did you use a grid? Why is it a container? What the heck? Why did you apply these CSS properties to this thing, even though it doesn't make sense? But yeah, I hear you, man. I know you do front-end dev stuff too, man. Pretenda Soda. I'd really like to get a sit SanDisk, but they're so expensive. Pretenda Soda. They can be. I'm not gonna lie, they can be. What I ended up doing, I don't want to say I totally cheaped out. But for me to save some money, what I did was I bought the legs separate. And so I bought legs that could hold up to 250 pounds. At the time, I thought there's no way I'm going to need that. And now I'm kind of like, oh man, I'm borderline. But I got legs from Amazon, just the legs. And then I just bought this big piece of wood from IKEA. Now they don't make this piece of wood anymore. They make something similar. It's not as deep. But then that helped me save some money. I mean, I paid $99 for this piece of wood. This wood is awesome. It's like, like a butcher block, and it's a really deep one. And then the legs were a little over 200. So for 300 total, I got a sit stand desk. It's going to take you a good 4 or 5 hours to set up, but it's pretty cool. And then I think there are all kinds. I forget the desk maker that makes every stand-up desk that everyone has. They're getting pretty reasonable too. I would say they're getting like IKEA reasonable, and IKEAs are surprisingly a little more expensive than I thought they would be for IKEA. But it turns out, when you use real wood and you use real metal, it costs real money. But yeah, so they're so nice to have. I ended up building 2 because my workbench, and then I built another one for my wife. And this was all pre-COVID stuff. So when COVID came, we were just ready. I'm like, man, I've been preparing for this without knowing it, to work from home. So, but they can be expensive. But if you can, I would say try to build them individually. I'm trying to remember the company that makes all the desks. As soon as I see it, I'm going to be like, oh, FlexiSpot. Yeah. FlexiSpot has some decent deals. And, you know, they are a good, you know, decent company. Yes, FlexiSpot. Yeah. There you go. It's exactly what I was just saying. Thanks, Twisted Grim. Yeah, FlexiSpot, I agree. Now, you can go ultra cheap on FlexiSpot, and then you're going to have, like Twisted Grim mentions, you might not have dual motors or a nice finish or anything like that. But hey, I mean, your first standing desk is going to be the best desk you've ever had. So even on the low end of standing desks, it's going to be miles probably better than your sit desk. And I don't mean in terms of quality, but in terms of quality of life, I think, you know, or just having that option to sit and stand. But I've been a huge sit and stander for a long time. Every company I worked for the last 8 years has had an option to sit stand. So I turned into a sit stander a long time ago. So, but yeah, I mean, worst case scenario, and then you know, does it have to be motorized? No, I mean, it doesn't have to be. I mean, one of my other jobs I worked at, I have a crank, you know, and it's kind of like, oh yeah, I got to crank it to stand up, I got to crank it to sit down. But I look at that like, you know, I'm getting a little more exercise on this one arm. I'm gonna walk around with like one arm all swollen because, you know, I crank my desk up and down like 15 times a day. But you know, you can find those too, and the crank ones are very reasonably priced, and those were my IKEA. So yeah, I mean, there are ways to get it. And then again, if you separate the legs, like if you wanna customize it, just buy a decent pair of legs, dual motors, and then make sure they have a good warranty on them, like a 10-year. And then buy a decent piece of wood. For my IKEA, make sure you get real wood, or you don't have to. But I would, especially if you're going to be testing the weight limit. You probably want real wood. And sometimes like old furniture stores, a lot of furniture stores, there's one around here. They'll have old tabletops, or they'll have, you know, mess-up orders of tabletops or granite or anything like that. I actually got a piece of granite for one of our radiator covers from there. It was actually the exact size we need. That never happens. But you know, you could hit up some of those places and find a nice piece of wood, like an old countertop, and then screw it on there, and then you have the exact desk you want. But yeah, it's I don't know. You'll figure it out. I'm sorry, I don't mean to talk so much about it, but it's super fun. Flodash, most definitely not. Let's see, Glader, sorry. Sligo Rack mountain case are exact layout I was looking for in a server case like a year ago, as it turns out. Cool. Yeah, the reason why I reached out to them, and they're awesome, by the way. They were just like, yeah, we'll send you one. Yeah, no problem. You don't even need to put in video or anything. They knew I was going to, but they're super nice bunch of people. They were just, you know, yeah, absolutely. Which one you want? Let me make sure, you know, your video card's going to fit in there and everything. Anyways, long story short, the reason why I got that one specifically is because I wanted to rack mount my PC. Like I've done rack mount conversions before, but with a caveat that I wanted AIO, I wanted water cooling in there, and then on top of that, I wanted to make sure my 3090 would fit in there. So the 3090 is not too hard to figure out if it'll fit in there, but 3090 plus AIO cooler is kind of hard to figure out to fit in there. And so they make some excellent cases, and I'm super excited to build in that. I can't wait to, because like my Windows machine here is great. I've had it for, I don't know, 6-7 years. But I'm ready. But I'm ready for my new dual boot Windows Linux machine. I'm ready for it to scream. And I kind of feel bad because, you know, I've used that PC right there for everything. I mean, I've used it for everything. I mean, you know, it's just a beat hardware. But man, I built my YouTube stuff on that. I built a lot of software on that. I played a lot of games on that, completed a lot of games. I failed at a lot of games. So yeah, I'm, you know, it's kind of bittersweet, but at the same time, my 8700K, which is a great CPU, and it still can be used for a lot of stuff. It's just showing its age when I go to render videos. So I'm looking forward to something with, you know, more cores, more cache, more efficient, and then I'll either sell or give this one away. So, and then I'll bring my 39 with me, BYO video card for sure, because when I bought my 3090. I bought it full price on like week 1 from Best Buy before all of the scalpers got to it. And I told myself, well, I had my 1080. I had my 1080 for a good 8 years. I'm going to have my 3090 for 8 years. Yeah, right. We'll see. Actually, it's already been about 2 or 3. So who knows? Who knows? But yeah, I'm super excited. Do you have some time to read some tech book? No, I don't. You don't want to hear me read tech book anyways. My voice is too all over the place. I go from super low to super high to tripping over my words. You don't want to hear me read. Snivy. Sinvi, just use a front-end framework like Tailwind, yeah, or Bootstrap. Yeah, good call. So we were talking about Tailwind last week because Kano said he was he was rolling his own CSS. He used other words, but he was doing his own handcrafted CSS. And I said, hey, even if you don't want to take on a framework like Bootstrap or like React or Material UI, you should at least look into Tailwind because you get a lot for free just by importing their style sheet. So I totally agree. Hand-rolled CSS is hard. It is hard, and you got to be really good at it. And why not use something that a lot of really good people have already figured out? And you don't have to make up your own rules. You don't have to make up your own rules at all. Hello, hi Tim, how's it going? Good to see you. Right now, I do for the most part, but when I need to make changes, I take a shot of whiskey and dive in. Heck yeah, man, I hear you, dude. I hear you. I don't drink, but yeah, it can be tough. It can be tough. I feel like I do need to take a drink when I work on CSS because then I'm just like, forget about it. That's how I used to get when I drink anything. I'm just kind of like, oh well. I think I need to start taking up drinking again so I can say more oh wells. that worked out and that worked out okay when I was younger. I hate CSS. It's challenging, but at the same time, I have a decent understanding of it, and I've done a lot of it. So sometimes it's when people are like, oh, this is CSS or oh, this is front end stuff, have Tim do it. I'm just kind of like, yes, I get to keep my job. Not really. I think people would keep me around anyway, but it's nice when, I don't want to be the only one that knows how to do everything. But it is nice when people are like, yep, that's a job specifically for you. And you're like, yes. And it's something you can do and you like, and it's something there's a noise again. I'll act like I didn't hear it. Wow, I'm deaf now. Yeah. And it even turned off my camera. It didn't. Wow. Yeah. Okay. No, I know what's going on there. No, not you at all. That's just unfortunate timing. Should come back on here in a second, maybe, kind of, sort of. There we go. That was unfortunate timing. My camera does overheat. I don't have the, you know what? Oh, dare I even yell out for Siri to do something? There it goes. I didn't have my ceiling fan on, and I noticed like anytime I'm streaming with all these lights on, I gotta have the ceiling fan on, otherwise my fan will overheat, camera will overheat. So that was perfect timing. Like as soon as you changed the lights in here and the noise kicked in, it looked like you kicked my stream offline. But anyways, going back to what I was saying, it's just nice, like when, if you have a specialty and people know that's your specialty and then they ask you to do it and you figure it out, it's just nice. I think that just goes into just wanting to be, a contributor. So, Nerpiest, I set up Portainer Traffic, Nginx, and Uptime Kuma running in Docker preparation for moving my servers. That is awesome. Man, congrats to you. So, Portainer going. You got traffic going, so you have a reverse proxy. You probably have certs. That's the whole reason why people do it, because they're not going to route to services that don't have certificates. Got Nginx going for another proxy, or maybe hosting some files inside of there, and then Uptime Kuma going to track everything in Docker. That is awesome. Congratulations. I assume they were VMs before. I'm making a lot of assumptions. I'm assuming there are VMs before, and you're moving everything to a single Docker node. So that is awesome. Congratulations. Hey y'all, we are I don't know. I'm kind of way over, but at the same time, I was kind of way late, so I don't know where I am. But I'm gonna look through here. I don't want to take up your whole entire time. I know most people in the U.S. probably have to eat dinner soon, or are eating dinner, or already tuned out to eat dinner. Or if you're on the West Coast, it's in between dinner and lunch. But I don't want to take up too much of your time, so let me see. I'm gonna look for one big one. Jaywalker. Oh yeah, that was a big one. Jaywalker says, "Hey Tim, greetings from Quebec." All right, it says Quebec in there, but I realized when I'm in Canada, people say Quebec, so I'm gonna say it right. Hey Tim, greetings from Quebec. Thank you so much for all the content you're putting out. Although my accountant doesn't like you as much as I do. Do you plan on revisiting your travel router video anytime soon? I bought most of the parts you used in your video, but I can't find the USB Wi-Fi dongle or any other one that works for that matter. Any suggestions? Hey, Jay Walker, I may. The funny thing is I use it when I travel, and I haven't traveled lately. My wife and I were supposed to go on vacation this month, but due to everything, we can't. We usually do a long road trip in the fall. Maybe we still could in November. We'll see. So I never get to refresh and relearn all of that all over again. I will say though, there is good news, is that, you know, even though I had a lot of problems, I'm gonna lower that down. Even though I had a ton of problems like finding the right dongle so that it would work with OpenWRT, someone in our Discord server figured out how to get it to work with Realtek USB NICs, which opens the floodgates for every single USB NIC ever made in the last 20 years. So if you haven't, Jaywalker, I would totally join the Discord. I think you're in there, but I can't remember. Totally join and search for Realtek. I'm giving you keywords. I'm helping you with my Discord foo search, but search for Realtek or search for OpenWRT, and I think you'll find it. Someone figured it out, and I think they documented it too. You know, pseudo-documented by saying, hey, it works, I use this. This is the Git repo I did, and they have all the instructions there. So you might be in luck. And the good news is if you have any USB NIC that was made in the last 20 years, it's probably Realtek chipset, and you might just have one laying around that you could plug in and try. So, but I'll do some searching. It took a long time to find one that worked, and even the one that I did buy was like out of stock later on. So there wasn't a lot of hope for, like, you know, getting that same NIC. I knew that putting out the video because, you know, it was so random anyways. I bought the last one or last few that this seller had, and I knew they were going to go quick. So anyways, try that. Someone figured it out. It can work with Realtek. I think you have to compile stuff, but where there's a will, there's a way. It's better than, hey, no, there's no way. If it's just, you know, downloading some stuff and compile it, we could all figure it out, right? Right. Awesome. Thank you so much. I bought any dongles from Amazon. Oh, yes. Send the most bad. That's exactly what I did. I kind of feel bad because I bought, like, I don't know, 8 dongles, but I was like, this has to work. I have to find one that works. If I don't find one that works, the video doesn't work, and neither does my travel router. And I thought it'd be a lot easier than it needed to be. Oh, one other place to check too. So Network Chuck did something similar. He built a travel router out of a Raspberry Pi. He didn't do Docker or anything like that too, but he had one listed in his video. So Google Network Chuck. It's a Pi router, travel Pi router, and he listed one in his video that worked. I tried to buy that same one, couldn't find it, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be tough. I know this is gonna be tough, because I was like, what a weird choice for a NIC, you know? It was one like I never heard of, but I didn't realize it was going to be so hard to find one. So Rodlink, yeah. Rodlink is a chipset brand. Yeah, thank you, PC Geek. It was. But yeah, look at Network Chucks. He'll have a link. I bet you that one sold out too. And then worst case scenario, yeah, search our Discord, because someone there figured it out, and they were like, hey, you can use I think Realtek chips now. I think mine was Rodlink. I can't remember. Anyways, hey all, thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in today. Thanks for all of the questions. Thanks for filling my nerd brain with homelab stuff. I feel like it's been a while since I've gotten to talk about it. Actually, it was last week. But this is, like I always say, it's the one time a week where I get to totally nerd out and think about all this kind of stuff that most people. I'm trying to act like I didn't hear that. It's so loud though. I need to fix that. Note to self, fix that alert. Mute it. Anyways, it's the one time a week I get to think about, all this stuff and talk about it. Most people are 99% of the time, people don't understand what I'm saying. But when I layer on top of that, homelab, self-hosting, Kubernetes, Docker, they're just like, you're speaking a different language now. Like I don't even understand the words that are coming out of your mouth. So anyways, hey, thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the questions. Thanks for the follows. Thanks for the chat. Thanks for the subs. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. If you wanna talk more, hey, we mentioned it a few times, but we have a Discord server where lots of the people you see talking about stuff are, and it's actually a good resource to. I don't want to say you can Google in Discord for a lot of the things that you're running into. And most of the time someone's figured it out. And we have a lot of smart people in a lot of different channels in a lot of different topics. There's a lot of people who specialize in some channels and they are fantastic. And there's a lot of people who talk in all channels and they're fantastic. And there's a lot of people who don't talk at all and they are also fantastic. So I appreciate it. If you have any questions for me, absolutely, you can ping me anywhere. I don't mind. Just don't go crazy, but I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. I will be back on. Oh yeah. So I will be back on Twitch. I haven't decided if it's going to be Friday or Saturday yet. Next Saturday, we're having a Halloween party. I know people said to stream it. I doubt I'm going to stream it, but I'll figure something out if the stream's going to be Friday or Saturday. Either way, it's going to happen one of those days. As it gets closer, I'll let you know. And if you want to know, just join Discord. Go in the Start Here channel, click the little streams button, and you'll get a notification in Discord and on Twitch if you have those notifications turned on too. Anyways, have a great Saturday. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Enjoy this cooler weather. This is my kind of day. I looked at the 10-day forecast. It was like high of 55 for like the next week. I'm like, I've been waiting all year for this weather. 55 and cloudy. My wife's like, oh, are you crazy? I'm like, no, this is my weather. Like this is my summer. When everyone's like, yeah, it's summer, I love it. The hotter, the better. Sunny days. I'm like, no, I want cool and cloudy. And so this is like my perfect weather all week. So I hope you enjoyed. Have a great Saturday. Have a great rest of the weekend. If you need me, ping me and be good to each other. Take care, folks. Thank you so much.